But anyway, I'm going to call the Las Virgenes-Malibu Council of Governments Governing Board meeting on Tuesday, April 20th, 8:32 a.m. to order. And I'll take a roll call of the governing board members. Let's do alphabetical order today, which means Denis.
Oh, here.
And Alicia.
Here.
And Stuart.
Present.
Malibu, are we, Reva, you want to answer for? We're waiting on, yeah, we're waiting on. Huh?
Karen will be on shortly, and
Okay.
we don't have our alternate either, so just go ahead without her.
All right, we'll just, and then of course I'm here. I need a motion to approve today's agenda, please.
So
So
moved
moved.
by Stuart. Second, Denis, Weber.
Okay. Roll call again. Denis, Agoura Hills.
Aye.
Calabasas,
Aye.
Hidden Hills.
Yes.
Malibu will be here shortly, and Westlake Village, yes. Motion is approved 4-0. We are now at our public comment period. Mr. Dipple, have we received any written public comments, or is there anyone on the line waiting to make a public comment this morning?
I have not received any requests to make public comments. There's nobody on the line, and the agenda was posted along with the link to the meeting.
Got it. Oh, what was that? Okay, that must have just been someone's. All right. Thank you very much. That brings us to the consent calendar today. Do I have a does anyone want to pull any item from the consent calendar? And if not, do I have a motion to approve today's consent calendar?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second by Stuart.
Thank you. Roll call again. Agoura Hills.
Aye.
Calabasas.
Aye.
Hidden Hills.
Yes.
Malibu, are we there or not yet? And Westlake, yes. Motion to approve the consent calendar 4-0. Thank you, everybody. And which brings us to our favorite part of every COG meeting, and that is our executive director's report. Terry.
Thanks, Kelly. I'll just highlight a few things. The advanced planning for Measure M 8th-year allocation has begun. The COG's Highway Working Group met on April 8th with a good discussion, and all cities represented, along with Metro's highway and active transportation staff. We're reviewing the COG's allocation of $13 million for the upcoming 8th year, which is the 24-25 year at Metro. It was a good discussion, and all the cities are going to be getting back to me with the projects that they want to include in the 8th year funding. We're scheduled to meet again in mid-May to have further discussion, and then the COG cities will be submitting informally to Metro any new project that needs to be reviewed. And
I have a COG meeting.
Karen, can you mute, please? You're we can't
Sorry.
hear you. Thanks.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Terry.
So we will be submitting new projects informally to Metro beginning in late May, early June, in order to get everything sorted out over the summer. And then the COG's 8th year funding project list will be submitted to the COG, well, first to the TAC, hopefully in September, and then to the COG governing board in September. If not September, then it would be pushed to October. It just kind of depends on how things go with the new projects. The COG's Homeless Working Group also met recently on April 6th to discuss various issues. We heard from Gabriel, who made a great presentation on how people that he works with, how they get entered into the system, and the follow-up that goes along with that. The one thing that I wanted to point out to you is that the county in the last few months with discussions with them on the homeless grants to the COG, the county is making a change in their grant funding process. Currently, they have 50 or 60 cities that individually have grants. In addition, they provide the grants to each one of the COGs. What the county's proposing to do is to allocate all of the funding to the COGs, and then the COGs would have to sort out the individual issues between any cities that previously had a grant and how that's going to work out. So obviously, the COG will be working very closely with Malibu in order to ensure that Malibu continues to get the funding that they need for the programs and the people that they have working on their homelessness issues, in addition to the continued funding for Gabriel's position. So it looks like all of that's going to be worked out. I expect to have a draft contract from the county. We've been going back and forth on the scope of work. I expect to have a draft contract from them within a couple of weeks. And then it'll come back to the COG for approval next month. And then that will take us through June of 22. So things are going well there. With regard to Metro's highway program update was just recently considered by the Metro Board. Those guidelines and that update would provide additional flexibility for our COG projects. So that's something that we're very supportive of. Gabriel's continuing to do a great job in his outreach efforts. And let's see, I know that this item is on the agenda. It's highlighted in the budget. So, I mean, in my report, so I won't get into the allocation for resilience, but take a look at that. I'm still working with the county on the evacuation plan. They got a little behind schedule, supporting the ongoing vaccine operations and adjusting to the county's reopening efforts, which has taken some time. But they've assured me that they're still on track to finish this project in June. And I want to thank all of you for submitting your Form 700 conflict of interest forms to me on time, and or if you did it electronically, which is greatly appreciated. So that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Terry on any part of his report? Now's the time.
I have one,
Yes.
Kelly. If
Go
I
ahead,
may.
Dennis.
Hey, Terry,
Yeah.
one of the items that's in your report that you didn't mention was this fairless system. What, aren't we already basically in that? Because as I asked Metro one time, so a couple of years ago, that they give like over 80% of the people don't pay now.
Well, Metro subsidizes the fares about 85%.
There you go.
And so they're talking about, well, they have a study where they're doing a study to determine how the fareless system could work. And I can tell you that it's got a lot of issues that they're trying to deal with. The biggest one, of course, is funding, because right now Metro doesn't have the money to do it, and they're looking at trying to get the federal government to fund a pilot project. So we'll see where that goes. But I will schedule it. I can tell you're excited about it.
Oh yeah. More taxes. Let's get everything away.
It's really the Metro's basically funded by sales tax, and it's how they allocate that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Metro goes forward.
Thank Terry, can I you,
you
Terry.
a
question? When you
Yes.
say 85% subsidized,
Yes.
does that mean 85% people don't pay, or they
No,
get
that means
reduced rates?
that means of the fare, whatever the cost of the fare is, if it's $2, then Metro is paying 85 per. Metro is subsidizing that 85%.
Okay, so the actual, the person riding Metro is paying about 15% of the actual cost.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, anybody else? Any other questions for Terry before we move on to information item B? All right. Terry?
Okay, information item B, I'd like to introduce Maureen Ritchie, who's going to discuss the Recover California Wildfire Assistance Program. Maureen?
Great, thank you. And hi, everybody. Nice to be with you this morning. I'm going to try to move through this information pretty quickly because I know I was kind of a late joiner to the agenda today. So I guess the first thing I'll say is that happy to meet with any of the cities or anyone on this call for a slightly longer presentation. We have plenty of materials that people can review, and Terry has my my contact information, so feel free to distribute that to the group. So I am here representing the state, specifically HCD, and we recently launched a program called Recover California, which is kind of the structure that is the pass-through for HUD CDBG disaster recovery funds. And I'm here to talk today specifically about a program called OOR, or Owner Occupied Housing Rehab and Reconstruction. Right now, right now we are working with survivors of 2017 and 2018 disasters in California. For your service area, that's the Woolsey fire. So for 2018, individual homeowners who still have remaining damage to their home are eligible for grants of up to $200,000 to kind of complete construction. We know obviously that it's been several years since the fire. So the idea of these funds is kind of making a homeowner whole. So anything that remains after insurance, FEMA, legal settlements, et cetera, have already paid out. These funds are kind of meant to just be the last little bit. And in particular, we're hoping to target low to moderate income households and those who maybe have other vulnerability factors that have impacted their ability to complete reconstruction. So again, survivors of the Woolsey fire in your area and across the border in Ventura County, hoping to target low to moderate income households and those who still have remaining damage. Let's see. So the first step for everybody is to go to recover.hcd.ca.gov and complete a short survey. It's only a 5-minute survey. It's all self-reported, very straightforward. It's available in English and Spanish. It's available on the website. You can also complete it on the phone or request a paper copy or go online and print it out. And so from that survey, it kind of automatically assesses your prioritization. So those with the greatest amount of remaining damage, those who are low to moderate income, those who are in some of the most impacted and distressed areas, which includes your community, are automatically ranked higher, and they'll be kind of eligible first. Like I said, the survey takes about 5 minutes, so anyone who even thinks that they might be eligible, we encourage them to go ahead and fill it out, because homeowners might get $5 grand, $8 grand, 10 grand, and it's a grant, so it's free money. At this time, this program, like the name implies, is for owner-occupied housing, and also only single-family homes and manufactured units, mobile homes. And then the other thing I'll say before I pause for a second is that there are local eligibility specialists to help homeowners with the application. So the first step is the survey, then the full application, which is longer, requires you to actually upload documents and materials. Because that is longer, we do have, we kind of call it like a white glove experience where someone can walk through the full application with a person and really help them determine what their true eligibility is, make sure they're not facing any duplication of benefits, really making sure that people get the maximum amount that they're entitled to through this program. Let's see. So, in summary, grants of up to $200,000 for Woolsey fire survivors, single family homes and mobile homes, targeting low to moderate income households. Materials are available in English and Spanish, online and in hard copy and over the phone. And the first step is to complete this 5-minute survey. So I know that that's kind of a lightning round of information, but I'm happy to pause for a second. And any time that we still have for questions, Terry, let me know. I know you have a full agenda today.
Terry, this is Reva, and I actually do have a question.
Great.
Because obviously I'm from Malibu, as city manager from Malibu, and obviously we sustained the most homes that were lost in the Woolsey fire in our area. And many of our residents being qualified for FEMA. So is this program similar to the criteria for FEMA?
Not exactly. So these funds can only be expended in FEMA designated disaster areas, but they are HUD funds. It's CDBG DR funds. So the eligibility actually is really quite broad. You just have to be a homeowner with remaining damage from the disaster. And then the only other eligibility criteria are the homeowner has to be eligible for federal benefits, so either a citizen or a category that's called a qualified alien. And the home ideally is going to be current on property taxes and up to code. There is a little bit of wiggle room if a homeowner is kind of on a path to become current on taxes. So we still encourage people to apply, but those are sort of just the couple of boxes to tick in order to be eligible.
Okay, I'm going to get your contact information from Terry, and I'll connect with you directly, but I think we need to get this out. We still have, we've only completed 27 homes. We have 200 some homes under construction, so we still have about 250 homes that have to start.
Okay, yeah, wonderful. I'm happy to we kind of have a larger sort of 20 to 30 minute presentation. And like I said, there's a whole kind of cachet of materials that I can give people, as well as a longer presentation.
Anybody else have a question for Maureen before we move on? Okay, thank you, Maureen. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all so much.
Thanks, Maureen.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for the kind of last minute accommodation, Terry. And like I said, please do feel free to email me. Happy to provide as much information as possible, but otherwise enjoy the rest of your meeting and the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen.
It is now time for our member city reports. We're going to go alphabetically again. So Nathan, let me see where Nathan is. There he is. You're right in the middle.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Just some quick updates on our COVID activities. We just finished a 4 cities vaccination event last week, and then the prior week we had 4 days of a smaller vaccination clinic up at our Recreation and Event Center. All these events have been really successful. I want to thank all of the cities and their city managers for participating and providing resources and staff and volunteers. I think it was mentioned earlier how great the event was, and I mean, it just represents how well we all work together and what a great area that we work in. So thank you to everybody that was part of that. We as a city have started some smaller events at our event center. All of those are outdoors, still within the county protocols. We're kind of doing those as a test, and we've started some spring activities with some smaller camps. So we're kind of testing how all of that works. Our outdoor dining permits for our businesses, we've extended those through July. And we probably, like all of you, are dealing with everyone feeling a little more comfortable eating outside and operating businesses outside. So we're dealing with that and the issues with parking and also with the ABC and how that's going to work out long term. So we'll be working through those in the upcoming months. And with that, I don't know, Dennis, is there anything that you'd like to add further?
No, Nate. And not all. I think we're very happy and we're very comfortable in the steps that we've taken. You know, we're looking. I don't know. Sometimes when we talk about these Zoom meetings, I know Nate and I have been talking about when and if we'll start going back to normal council meetings or planning commission meetings. So that's going to be the next thing that Nate and I are facing, and the rest of the council. It's you know, we're shooting for maybe a June or July opening, and so it's going to be interesting to see how all the 5 cities are going to work together and see what really comes up. But I appreciate everything that Nate and his team and the teams from the other cities, how close they work and how well they work together. So thank you all. Nothing. That's all. That's enough for me.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. And Nate Kinden, where are you?
Good morning, everybody.
There you are. Okay, I'm looking right at you, but there's just so many little squares. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Hey, thanks for the time to just be with everybody this morning. Some good things happening in Calabasas. So I just want to compliment again the cities for the vaccine clinic. I know we've talked about it several times, but I stopped by late afternoon and it was just so well organized, just very seamless, very well done. I think those are the type of activities that bring communities together. It was just good to see that. On our level, we have a plan to bring staff back May 3rd. So our goal is to have everybody back at City Hall on May 3rd. And with a few exceptions, I think there's a few that have some health concerns or concerns maybe or issues with childcare. And so we'll take those on a case-by-case basis, but we should have all of our employees back at all facilities on May 3rd. And like the other cities, we're starting now to look at events for the summer. We have a Mother's Day event planned. That's changed over time. It was initially going to be a drive-through type of event. And so we're looking at changing that with now some of the restrictions lifted and looking at some perhaps a July 4th event and then concerts later on throughout the summer and gearing up for our big event, which is the Pumpkin Festival later in the fall. We have started talking about in-person hybrid council meetings at the staff level. We're going to come back to council and get some direction on that. We don't have a plan in place yet for that, but those discussions are happening. And we're seeing just overall more and more of our employees are vaccinated. I think we're about 35% vaccinated with last count, and that was before the clinic on Friday. So we're hoping that number goes up quite a bit. So Alicia, anything else that we want to add on that?
No, I think you did a good job. I think it's just finding that balance of getting people back in a safe manner. Definitely the childcare issue, since the schools are hardly open, which is an issue for many of our employees. But I think we're on the right path.
Carrie.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I don't want to brag, Kinden, but 100% of my staff is vaccinated, but that's like 5 people, so it's not that impressive. We are, that was a joke, everybody. Good morning.
We're laughing.
May 3rd, we are coming back. The staff is actually very excited about that. I gave the opportunity to talk to me, and they all just said, no, we're just happy to be back. And I echo everything that Nate and Kinden said about the vaccine clinic. We vaccinated 1,200 people, but we just once again showed how a lot of us have been together a long time and how we all come together. I appreciate Agoura kind of taking the lead and giving us Amy and Lewis to championing this. But I think the better message was that when needed, the 5 of us or the 4 or 5, whomever is needed, will step up. And so I was really, really proud of that. And I hope you all got a chance to come out. And if you didn't, we'll be back out there May 7th And I encourage everybody to come see what our little cities can do. That's it. Stuart, did you have anything to add?
I was going to mention that on a positive note that we have been doing our Fiesta parade and party for many years. We had to cancel it last year. We're at least, this sets in October, so it's like way in the future, but we're still planning now to have a version of that or the full blown.
That's right.
Still in the planning stage, so we're pretty excited about that. And then as soon as we get some indication from the county, I'm going to push real hard to go back to open human meetings. I think it's better for the council for interaction and better for the public to see something other than a square on a screen. And that's it.
Okay, Malibu, Riva, are you there?
I am, and of course my dog decided to start barking, so I apologize for that in the background. Thank you everybody for the vaccine clinic, and when they said everybody participated, I showed up to actually get my vaccine there. So thank you for that, and it was really well run. It's certainly taken a lot out of me though, so that second dose is no fun, no joke. In terms of bringing staff back, we are still doing what we've been doing, which is closed for appointment. We have a fair number of staff that kind of rotate through the building, but still being mindful that a lot of people have not been vaccinated, and we still have a lot of childcare issues, like I forget somebody mentioned, that we're just trying to manage. But definitely looking on a reopening plan that would keep people safe. For some crazy reason, we still have people getting COVID, so that's challenging. I did want to mention to who I think it was Agoura Hills talking about council meetings, and until the governor lifts any restrictions of gatherings, you actually can't have public meetings pursuant to the Brown Act. Because you have to be able to allow as many people that you have capacity for in your room, in your chambers, or provide it via Zoom. So you're either going to end up in a hybrid model, or you have to wait to just have in-person meetings. So that's obviously something we're monitoring as well, and trying to figure out the technology of how we'll be doing Zoom at the same time, because I don't think that's going to go away. And thank you to Maureen for that program. That was really helpful, and appreciate that. And other than that, just gearing up for what we're going to assume is a busy summer. It's already hot, and we've already seen a lot of traffic in Malibu. So Karen, do you have anything else to add?
Thanks, Riva. I was just going to add for everybody who knew Deputy Mike Trinan, there was an incredible event on Sunday at Zoom Beach. It was a paddle out in memory of him. There were hundreds of people there, and I'm sure some of you were there. I just wanted to make note of that, and it was really just a fitting tribute to somebody who was so well loved and well respected.
Okay, thank you, Karen. I did see pictures of it. I wasn't there, but it did seem amazing. There were hundreds of people there, so that was very moving. Okay, Rob, there you are. Hi.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. Not a whole lot more to report. I mean, we all mentioned the vaccine clinic. I appreciated that a lot as well. It's just to see everybody, right, and do something together. It was a great community sort of builder, I thought. So great job, everyone. With staff, we're bringing back staff throughout May and looking at a June sort of reopening really for our city hall. And if we can get back in chambers for council meetings, June would be the earliest that we would really look to do that. As far as events and programs throughout the summer, we're going to keep it still pretty light during the summer in terms of any kind of major gathering. We'll have a couple of drive-in movie events. We may have one concert at the end of summer in August if that works, and some limited 4th of July programs and activities. But our first sort of really gathering event will be in October for what is our city celebration event, and so we're gearing up for that and looking forward to getting back to some normalcy here. Other than that, we're deep in budget, trying to work out how revenues are going to respond to this recovery next year. So working through that, and we're about to begin a fairly significant study for pedestrian safety. We're working with a citizen advisory group. Our first kickoff meeting is this evening. So there are a few things that are happening in Westlake Village. Kelly, Ned, anything to add?
Ned, go ahead.
I just want to echo the shot clinic was really great. I walked up there and it was just wonderfully organized, and everybody was very cheerful, which was nice. It doesn't usually happen when you're going to receive a shot. So it was really great. And echoing Carrie and Nate and everybody's cooperative mood. It is in times like these when you can count on your neighbors, and it's just great that we pulled all that together. So I appreciate that, and I think I'm looking forward. I think we may be able to open up sooner rather than later, but I think caution is the key, and so I think the approach to go slow is probably the right thing.
Okay, I don't have anything to add to what Rob and Ned said. So with that, we will move to our action items. Terry?
Well, this is the item 6A, which is the state legislation that the COG has considered at the last 2 governing board meetings. I presented a list of the bills that we discussed. It was a little complicated in trying to coordinate with each one of the cities on how to, on what bills were approved. But I wanted to just put all of these out there, and then Kelly, if you could maybe lead a discussion to see if there's been any kind of collective effort on any one of them, I think that would be helpful to me.
Sure, of course. So the first one on the list is SB9. Terry, we did as a COG oppose SB9 already.
Yes.
Thank you, because you know what my memory is like. So the COG has already taken action by sending a letter to our elected representatives opposing SB9. The city of Westlake Village, I'll just, I could speak for our city, and then I'll let everybody go around. The city of Westlake Village has reviewed SB9 and has the council's voted to oppose as well. Anybody else? Agoura, let's start with you. We're going to go alphabetically again.
Nate, Nate and I have been in communication about, we've already taken some individual action on most of these bills by sending letters, but Nate can address.
Okay, so let me go back. I'm sorry. Before we go through this, I mean, we don't really need to discuss SB9.
No.
I was, because the COG has already taken action here. The goal today is to decide what bills, if any, remaining that the cities would like the COG as an entity to oppose, support, et cetera, because again, we've had this discussion before, our power is in numbers. So let's skip down to SB10. The city of Westlake Village's position on this is to watch. We want to see what exactly the details and the impact of this on Westlake Village and all our cities is going to be right now. Rob, jump in at any time if you want to add anything that I'm looking at the list that our council discussed. Okay. So what I'm going to try to do here is short circuit it and go city by city. So can I hear from, let's go alphabetically, Agoura, Calabasas, Hidden Hills, Malibu.
And Nate, would you step in and help us out on this? Because I know that we've taken positions on most of these bills on our own, and we'll support the COG, but you go ahead.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm at. That's my question. Are you in support of the COG's position, taking a position on this one? That's the answer I'm looking for. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Okay. Calabasas?
I'm just looking, Kindon, 10, we said yes to take a position on, correct?
Kindon?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, that was an action. I think the council was taking an action on that one was to notes. Do you remember, Alicia, on that one, which action we took on that?
Now I'm like getting all the bills confused. That's my fault for not writing it out before.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, wait, sorry. This is so annoying. Can you refer, number 10, who was the author? That'll help me for a second.
Weiner.
Yeah, Scott Weiner.
It's another.
Weiner.
It's a housing density bill.
No, I know. I thought 9 and 10, we voted to oppose.
I'm checking right now.
I got so confused yesterday with all the bills that I now have a very detailed spreadsheet. So
no, it took us like 3. Yeah, we had to come back because my colleagues wanted more information. So it took us like 3 meetings to make a decision on these bills. So.
And that's the same difficulty that I had trying to check with each city. It was really hit and miss. No disrespect to each one of the cities. There was a lot of other stuff going on.
Here, well, you know what? Give us 2 minutes. Let us just.
All right, I'm going to move on. Yeah, I'm going to move on to 12. And I mean, we're our Westlake's position on 10 is to watch, so we're not going to get a majority anyway.
Fine, so we'll get a pass.
Yeah, we'll get a pass on 10. 12. Westlake position again to watch. So, I mean.
So unless there's consensus, we're not going to do it.
Yeah. I mean,
okay, so tell us the ones you're looking for that Westlake.
And I don't know, and 52, that's not something Westlake discussed. I don't know if you guys discussed 52. We did not.
Remind me the author, Kelly.
52 is Dodd, planned power outage state of emergency.
Oh, we didn't talk about that.
Okay.
We took a position on Henry's bill.
And that's the next one, 55. Westlake is to watch. And also this bill's stuck in committee. It's not coming out of committee. So there's really, Jeff's nodding. Yeah, Jeff, please don't, I mean, just cut me off and, chime in and cut me off. You're the expert, not me. So I'm saying something off track. Okay, Jeff is here. If you need him, we do need you. Okay, so again, 55, Westlake is to watch. 99, Dodd, which is the Community Energy Resilience Act, not on the Westlake legislative agenda. So again, 278, Westlake's did discuss a position is to oppose. So let's go through. Agoura?
I think
we was in opposition.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. Calabasas.
Sorry, tell me the author one more time.
Leva.
And that one
this is the PERS. This is the PERS
about
bill.
the pension.
Sorry,
we haven't discussed that one yet.
We haven't discussed that one.
Okay. All right. So we're not going to do anything on that one. 339, which is the open meeting requirement bill, was not on our discussion agenda. This is where they would require, Jeff, this is the one with translators and everybody would be able to, go ahead.
And that bill did just get worse, not better. So we're going to be putting out an action alert, hopefully this week on that.
All right, well, and then Rob, we will rediscuss this one. Getting worse is not good. 361 is related, right, Jeff? This is the teleconference one. Okay. Yeah. Did anything happen to that one? Westlake did not discuss.
That one might end up being tied with the last one, the Lee bill. And that's our big concern is that the Rebus bill is actually the 361 is something we were hoping would be good and we could support, but it's going in the wrong direction. So stay tuned on that one too.
All right. And then 377 Rebus, which is water quality. Westlake didn't discuss that. So, okay, this was not with the exception of SB 9, not particularly productive. Terry, you want to weigh in on?
Well, I think that
Mhm.
I realize that this isn't perfect, but I applaud the COG cities in attempting to take on something that really hasn't been taken on before. And so I know that we're kind of herding cats here as far as trying to put something together, but I think that it's going to take us a while and a process if the COG wants to continue in this legislative area. It's going to take us a while, but I think that we're on the right track if the governing board wants to continue. It's just going to be a matter of maybe instead of trying to, and I can't even call it a shotgun. Jeff, the first list that Jeff gave me was about 30 bills.
Yeah.
And then Kelly and I discussed that and we narrowed it down and we tried to present 4 or 5 that Dane presented in February. And then we supplemented it in March with another 6 or 7 bills. So I realized that that's, maybe a little over the top for all of the cities, but maybe if we could refocus and just pick out 3 or 4 of these bills or more or less. But I mean, I know that the COG has already taken a position on SB 9. I think that SB 10 is just as important. The Stern bill, maybe because it's stuck in committee and is not going to happen, we don't do anything with. I think the SB 278, the PERS disallowed compensation, is important to all of the cities. So maybe we could come back to that one, and the open meeting ones at the May meeting, and try and pull this all together.
I would add 12 too, because I did actually have a chance to talk with Henry last week on the phone, and he apparently is going to, SB 55 is not going to go forward, I guess, Jeff. And Henry indicated that he's going to support SB 12 now. I'm not, is that in what that's what he's telling me.
I hadn't heard that, but that's good news. And I just want to echo Terry's sentiments here. I think it's a really good job what the COG is doing. And by doing this now, I mean, we're going to be talking about these bills for the remainder of the year and possibly next year. So you've kind of started the work, and it'll reap you benefits down the road.
Yes. So Terry, I think that's a great plan. Thank you for, let's proceed with Terry's action plan. Let's narrow it down. The goal is to, I know all of your individual cities are doing whatever they're doing. And I know Malibu has a lobbyist, Hidden Hills has a lobbyist, but my goal when I became the president of the COG, and I discussed this at length with Terry, is for us to up our game legislatively as the COG, because we are 5 and that is more powerful than 1. So I'd really like Terry's suggestion, and I would like to proceed. So can we narrow to like three big ones for May or June? And now I'll discuss with Terry the timing. When we're done with this meeting, I would really appreciate it. I think the ones that Terry has pointed out are the most important. Again, and with Jeff's guidance, things can, as Jeff has told us, things can change drastically from minute to minute in Sacramento. I would like to thank Jeff very much for all his work. He's really helped out because I am not an expert in this area. And also many, many thanks to Terry. We've had many phone calls. He's been very patient with me. And I truly appreciate, I truly appreciated this. And I do think this is an important and very worthy thing for our COG to do going forward. I truly believe that. I think it's really important, which is why I keep pushing this over and over.
Kelly, what I'll do today is I'll follow up with you. We can have a conversation, and then I will send out a list of the bills that we've highlighted today for hopefully action in May. I'll send it out to the governing board members and to the city managers, and then I'll follow up with everyone.
Okay, so when we come back, we're going to have to, if a city or one or two cities in our COG is not going to participate in this, we're going to have to come to some agreement about whether or not we're going to deviate from our 5 majority requirement that we've had before. So, which I don't want to do, but, recognizing that may, anyway, I'll discuss with Terry. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Alicia. If anyone has any, yes, please. It's time for questions, comments.
No.
Alicia.
I said that'll help if we, even on our council agenda, like the agenda report could be COG legislation and just really specific, because this was the first time our council really we had way too many bills that we were looking at. And it's like 3 meetings. So I just messaged you what our positions were. It was, we didn't take action on AB 115, and then we opposed SB 10 and 12, and we took no action on SB 612.
Can I jump in for a second? I just wanted to share kind of our philosophy in Malibu, and maybe it's something we can incorporate with the COG, is that at the beginning of the season, there's so many bills, and I forget, somebody mentioned something stuck in committee and whatnot. And so what we do with our lobbyist is we really start watching what's getting momentum, because the one thing we don't ever want to do is kind of wear out the support or oppose power of a letter. And so we kind of wait until things move along and actually seem like they're going to go forward before we actually take that position. So that might be a good philosophy for the COG to take as well.
Okay, thank you, Riva. Any other questions before we move on to our next item?
Well, as far as Agoura Hills goes, we have a philosophy that if it's local control, we'll take action, and what I'll have, and Nate will send Terry the bills that we've already taken individual action on, and then he can incorporate that with the COG. So I think we've taken action on everything on the list except maybe 2 or 3 bills. But we'll keep you informed, Terry.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dennis. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your help and cooperation with this. Terry, we are now on B, action item B.
Yes, action item B is a request from Karen that requested that this be placed on the agenda. So I provided just a brief agenda report, and then attached the lengthy and thorough article from the LA Times. I realize it made the agenda a lot longer, but I was trying to put something that was more neutral in there, like an article, as opposed to me trying to write a staff report on such a subject that I'm not that familiar with, and there are a lot of allegations and other things going on. So Karen, if you'd like to jump in and.
Sure. Thank you, Terry. And first, I just want to thank you so much for the time you put in with my request. And I'm sure everybody who's looked at it, it's self-explanatory, and you were probably aware of it before it came onto our agenda. And this might also be out of the ordinary for the COG, but when you look at the list on page 14 that goes on to page 15 of elected officials, and other groups, labor groups, California Legislative Women's Caucus, I mean, one group after another that's in support of the audit. And I thought that we could do the same. And I'd like to see if there's consensus to join in that list that's probably even longer now, calling for a state audit of the allegations made against the Metropolitan Water District.
I'll go first. this is something that I'd have to take to my council. So the answer is, as of today, no.
That
Okay.
would be the same for me as well with my council.
Hidden Hills the same way. And in addition, I think this is having nothing to do with the seriousness of the issue. It's far afield from what the COG has historically been involved in, which is local issues that affect the 5 cities directly, like planning and bills and dealing with the agencies. So, you know, I don't see us getting involved in this.
I can appreciate that, Stuart. I just thought this was an important enough issue that we would want to consider it. That's all.
It is important. I'm just saying it doesn't appear in my recollection of my years on the COG that this is something that the COG normally deals with. Otherwise, we're opening the doors to, there's hundreds of serious things going on in the state of California.
Anybody else?
Agoura Hills, no, I'd have to take this to the full council as well before we decided to whether or not to step in and support the effort. So we'll get back to you, Terry.
That's everybody, right? Okay. Anything else, Karen, that you want to add?
No, but I appreciate again the time that Terry worked with me on this, and that's, thank you. I agree with everyone. This is a very serious thing. I read all the press coverage on this, and I actually been on this water trip out to the Colorado River, the Hoover Dam and back, and I mean, it is remote, does not cover some of those places out there. It was very eye-opening. It is a very concerning issue. Thank you, Karen, for bringing this to our attention. Terry C, action item C.
Action item C is the COGS Measure R and Measure M adjustments that are included in your agenda packet. And let me just get my paperwork together. The recommendation is to approve the Measure R adjustment requested by Los Angeles County to allocate $1,125,000 from the county share of Measure R funds to Agoura Hills to complete the projects listed below, which is the Agoura Road widening and the Canaan Agoura intersection. In addition, to approve the revenue neutral Measure M adjustment that's requested by Calabasas, which is for moving money between 2 of their projects, but it is revenue neutral, and so there's no new money involved in that. And the recommendation would be to approve those and advise Metro of the Measure R and Measure M adjustments. Any questions?
Any questions? So we need a motion for this?
We do need a motion for this one.
Okay. May I entertain a motion from someone on the adjustments, please?
Dennis Weber will move approval.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Hidden Hills.
Thank you. Roll call, Agoura Hills,
Aye.
Calabasas,
Yes.
Hidden Hills,
Yes.
Malibu,
Yes.
Westlake Village, yes. So motion passes 5-0. Thanks, Terry.
Just if I could make a
Go
quick
ahead.
comment.
Of course, yes.
When there's a motion and a second, sometimes there are 2 or 3 people. And so since it's unanimous, I hope that you'll bear with me that I try and get a couple of the names for the motion and the second, just to make sure that everybody's all right with that. Sometimes, like I said, with more than one person speaking, it's hard to get the exact.
Thanks. Now we are on to our reports in 7. we'll start with, there you are, Joe.
Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yep, yes, we can hear you.
I didn't hear anyone, so I didn't know if you could hear it. Yeah. Okay. I'm having really spotty internet service, so if it cuts out, start waving your hands or something, so I know that I'm not just talking to myself in the room here. But thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to come in and speak on behalf of Captain Passeri. He's out of the office today, so he asked if I could sit in, which I gladly accept every time I get the opportunity. I'll keep it very short. I know you have a packed agenda. As you know, the Sheriff's Department is anticipating the outcome of the Derek Chauvin trial. So we've stepped up our deployment schedule here in each one of our cities. The sheriff has not put us on a tactical alert yet, but we're on standby for that, depending on how that verdict comes out and how the communities react to it. But I can tell you that in the Lost Hills area that services the COG, we're more than ready for any protests or demonstrations that might happen. The deputies are on full deployment. And then I dispatched the SIT team will be out driving around today, and the J team I had on standby, as well as my detectives. I have about a dozen detectives back here that are all suited up, ready to go should I have to deploy them somewhere in one of our communities. I don't anticipate that happening. We don't have any intelligence that suggests that anything will happen in our area, but you never know. The wind blows and people's opinions change, and they might want to go outside and voice their opinion. So we're ready for that. I just wanted to assure the COG that we're fully staffed and ready for that. It's getting warm, and I know Drew will touch on this later, but it's getting warm, and with the hot days and COVID, I use the term going away loosely, but we saw a little uptick in our crime, probably because people are coming out now and they got a little bit more freedom that they had a year ago, but it's nothing that can't be managed. The Part 1 crime is still relatively low, and comparatively to our other areas around Lost Hills, it's still very low. So we're just kind of watching some of the incidents of theft, as I've said before in the COG. The crimes of theft, burglaries from cars, and theft from unlocked vehicles, that's really what drives the crime numbers in each one of our cities. So I can get the cities to continue to help me put out that message on social media to people about locking their doors and locking their cars and keeping valuables out of view. That helps immensely, more than you would think. It helps immensely with keeping those Part 1 crimes down. Again, it's getting hot. Fire season's upon us. I know Drew will touch on it later. But I took the liberty of retraining the entire detective bureau on our emergency operations center. So if you don't know, when a natural disaster or fire does happen, the detective station just outside my office here man our emergency operations center, and they open that up within the station, and then we coordinate with the department operations center, which is downtown, and then the fire department. But it's good to have those detectives trained up on that. The detectives are the ones that man it. And when I got here, I realized they hadn't had any formal training for a little while. So we put them through all the training all over again. So they're ready right now at the beginning of fire season, should we have to respond to something. I wanted to mention that catalytic converter event we had recently over in Calabasas was a good success. We're planning another one for the city of Agoura Hills. It's going to be at the Achy Breaky car repair shop, and it is on the 27th. I will make sure that our PIO sends that information out to the PIOs for the COG. So if they want to spread that word, we're still having an issue with catalytic converter thefts throughout the nation. So what we're trying to do in the COGS area is get out in front of it. Just kind of communicate with the take part in that.
Missed that last part.
I wanted to do a what's that?
We missed that last sentence. You kind of cut out there.
Oh, I think I was just mentioning that it's
Okay.
good to get that information out about those etch and catch events, because we're still having that rise in crime, or that rise in catalytic converter thefts throughout the country. I wanted to put out a very big thank you on behalf of the deputies in the station for the outpouring of support for Deputy Trinan and Deputy Cherney. In the last few weeks, we've lost 2 deputies at the station. Unfortunately, I didn't know Deputy Trinan. I arrived here about a month after he left, but I could tell the impact that he had on the station, as well as Deputy Cherney. And I was out at the paddle out at Malibu over the weekend, and just an outpouring of support. You can definitely see the impact that the deputies here have on your communities. Not just those deputies specifically, but you can tell that the deputies here have a special relationship with the cities of the COG. And it's reflective in the outpouring of support that we get when something unfortunately bad happens to one of us. Just looking at my notes real quick. I think that's it. I'm available for any questions. I know that someone mentioned earlier that you're going to be opening up these cities to meetings again. And, you know, when I arrived here last year, I didn't have the pleasure of meeting everybody in person. So, I mean, I'm responsible, myself personally responsible for Westlake Village and Hidden Hills. But if any of the other cities want to meet with me and talk about crime trends or any of those things that affect their respective cities, since I am the detective lieutenant and I oversee the crime aspect, I'm going to throw my email address here in the chat box. Feel free to email me. And as the cities open back up, if you'd like to meet, I'd be more than welcome to come out and meet with anybody and talk about crime trends and what we can do, what your vision of public safety is, and how I can help the captain kind of achieve that goal for you. Okay, but if you have any questions, now's the time. I'm open.
Ready?
I have a question. Joe, this is Reva.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you recommend that we put out any press statement about LASD being prepared for any potential issues after the trial? Are you guys doing that? I've been asked by a couple people in Malibu.
I have my PIO actually working. When I stepped out of the office a moment ago, I asked her to write one up. So that'll be coming out within the next 10, 15 minutes after I get off this call. And you're more than welcome to retweet that or repost that if you'd like.
That's great. Thanks so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Joe. Lieutenant Joe Fender.
Yes,
Lieutenant Fender.
No
ma'am.
No problem.
Okay. Next is Drew or Megan. Drew, there you are.
Drew's
Hi.
here. Good morning. You got me?
Good morning, Drew. Gotcha.
Well, your fire family is doing good. Just looking ahead, I know there's been a lot of conversation regarding wildfire threat, worst fire season ever, the drought. And so, ironically enough, that we're out right now with Ventura County Fire and LA City Fire going over our annual mutual threat zone training that we do at the engine company level and our battalion chiefs on the Santa Susana Pass area and the Chatsworth area, which is one of 4 times that we meet a year to do some robust drilling on the command structure and also with our troops to start laying hose, cutting line using our aircraft and bulldozers. So that's we're on site now looking at that. As far as fire season and just going into fire season, so just remember that we live in a wind-dependent fire regime. We are going to get initial attack fire through the Santa Monica Mountains. And in the absence of wind, we have relatively low large fire growth. But we do have some challenges with the lack of rainfall. And as the grass tends to dry out, just because it's not a large fire doesn't mean it can't be a challenging or complex fire due to the infrastructure or homes that are in the area. The communication that the Los Angeles County Fire Department will give you out of my office and through Megan Courier, we will brief the COG based, and you've seen it all last year, couple of years, with the information sheet we put together on the relative risk. Any of those phone calls or questions you have, please reach out to Megan or myself so we can look at what valid information is and what our relative risk is. We're getting into our brush clearance time. So people and homeowners are going to be going through their brush clearance. We try to time it every year so that they only have to do it once. We've been people that have lived in the area for a long time, know those times that we Mother Nature has fooled us, and then we've gotten some late rains. They've had to do it twice. We try to eliminate that by the timing with looking at good forecasting on what the climatology is going to be. So right now we're going to start into our brush clearance, and these stations and inspectors will be out doing the inspections and looking at compliance for our brush clearance. So the organization is also very involved in training. So every day there's something going on. We are embedded in this COVID mission with the megapod sites. We still have over 100 people committed. We're hopefully going to be limiting that amount of personnel that we have, because we're getting into our active time, as we know, as Riva mentioned, the amount of people that go to the beach and within our inland areas, with the people commuting into the recreation areas. So as that public interaction happens, the public safety agencies get busier. So we're looking forward or looking ahead for us to get ahead of it, so we can have the appropriate staffing that we need, and we're not limited on stuff. We always have constant staffing. We always have the available resources. We never let anything go unfilled with staffing, but it just taxes the organization differently when we have a lot of moving parts that are outside the 911 response entity that we must maintain. So it strains the organization. It doesn't break it, it just strains it. And with that, I'll leave it to Megan, and I'll then focus on any questions that you may have.
I am all good. I don't have anything beyond what you mentioned.
Any questions for Megan or Drew this morning? Okay, thank you, Megan.
Thank you for the support. Thank you for the support.
Cal Cities, Jeff, there you are.
Yes, thank you again. I just want to mention a few things. Obviously, we're still being very mindful of the legislation as it winds its way through policy committees in the legislature. The Cal Cities policy committees also met last week, though they made recommendations on a number of bills to our board. So that will be taken up by our board of directors next week when they meet on Thursday and Friday. That, by the way, is our first sort of hybrid event. There is sort of an in-person component in Sacramento, and I'm kind of interested to see how that goes and how many board members actually decide they want to go to Sacramento to participate that meeting in person. Also, we're still actively kind of monitoring the U.S. Treasury Department and the American Rescue Plan Act guidelines that are due sometime soon. The deadline for them to get those regulations and the money out the door is May 10th. That's money out the door to cities, tribes, and entitlement cities. Once that money does get out, I don't believe there's any entitlement cities in this COG, but once that money goes out to the state then will have an additional 30 days. So that sort of puts a time frame on when you should expect to receive your funding in your city. We'll keep monitoring treasury.gov/coronavirus. So that's kind of what we're doing, and we'll put it out whenever we see more information. But hopefully in the next 10 days or so, we're going to see some really good movement on that front. As far as what you need to do to sort of prepare for that, you will need a DUNS number. So that's about the only thing we know thus far. And then we have to work with the state and the Department of Finance here in California about what else we're going to be required to do for non-entitlement cities. And then, yeah, I think that's all I have. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions for Jeff? All right, we're very quiet today. Terry, I'll let you take the order of section D.
Any agency partners on, I know we have a number on the line if anyone wants to jump in. Tessa.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. How wonderful that you had a vaccination clinic for your cities. Fantastic. I received yesterday a list of public vaccine sites at a couple of your cities, and this may be old news for you. You probably already know, but in case you don't, one is at the city of Malibu. I think it's at City Hall on May 7th, and it's public, but I don't have details. So I can, Riva, I can get in touch with you if you don't have this information and share more details. The other is at the Agoura Hills Recreation Center, May 3rd through May 6th at, well, you know where that is. Westlake Village, you have one where the date actually is pending and it's not public. It sounds like it's private. I don't know exactly what that means. But again, I can follow up with you individually if you need more details.
Thank you.
The county budget for 2021 and 22 is going to be introduced today. It will be a $36.2 billion recommended budget. The focus is on expanding and sustaining safety net services. We anticipate an increase in funding to Measure H of 16.6 million for a total of 426.7 million. There'll be increases in investments in mental health and Measure J. We anticipate with increased federal recovery dollars, we'll be focusing quite a bit on economic recovery. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, I talked, I think last month about the invasive shot hole borer beetle trainings, and then we ended up postponing them, but we have those scheduled now. This is the county's agriculture commissioner weights and measures. That is giving a training for your residents in the Santa Monica Mountains and slightly beyond. It's going to include like the Simi Hills and that sort of thing. But it's May 3rd and May 10th from 2 to 3 p.m. They are going to be just really important discussions for your residents on how to prevent the spread of this, this deadly beetle. So happy to share that with anyone who's interested. Let me know. I've sent this to a number of your not city managers, but people who attended a prior training that we did. So you all should have this information, but reach out to me if you want additional information. And that's it.
Questions for Tessa? Thank you. You're on mute, Terry. Oh, there you go.
I'd like to thank Rachel Wagner from SCAG for providing the update that I include in the COG agenda. And if any other of our agency partners would like to do something similar, if they could send it to me at the beginning of the month, that way I'll be sure and include it in the agenda for your information.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else, any other agencies want to chime in? Now's the time.
I think we're good.
All right, we're good. Any other comments, requests for general agenda items in the future other than what we've already discussed today?
I had one question.
Yes.
For the legislation, is the goal one of our May agendas? Because when do we want to come back as a COG to discuss the action of each individual council?
I probably, well, first of all, I'm going to talk about this with Terry, and Terry, it would probably be my inexpert opinion, June is a good month. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think, Terry?
You're the boss.
Well, yeah, sort of. You're actually the boss, but June. Let's go for June.
That's
okay, because May is too. You know, I mean, if you've got to go back to your council again to discuss some of the ones that were on the list today, so look for June.
Okay.
Anything else before we adjourn? Okay, thanks everybody. 9:45. This was a shorter meeting. Appreciate it. Enjoy the nice weather. Thank you for being here this morning.